built in 2000. The digester with the energy was built in 2007. Yeah. So we've got these two main barns right here. All the animal waste from these two main barns is pushed by hydraulic alley scrapers from one end to the other. It drops down these little holes right here, and then it gravity flows into this building behind us right here. And we've got about 850 milking cows, and each milking cow produces about 40 pounds of waste a day. Those two barns gravity flow into here, and we've got a little agitator over there. We mix up all the manure, and on this side over here is they call this an off-farm substrate. This is organic fats, greases, and oil from a food processing plant in Portland, Maine. We take about 10,000 gallons a week of this stuff, and we mix it into the manure, about 1,000, 1,500 gallons a day. It's very high in volatile solids, so it's real good for producing electricity. Mm-hmm. It's almost better than manure. If you could run a digester solely on this stuff without the manure, but yeah, it wouldn't. In order to be a farm, you have to use mostly manure, or else they consider you a landfill. It's in a whole new set of permitting processes. So we just put in a little bit of this stuff at a time. It works really good, and we also take all of the grease trap waste from all the area restaurants.
Oh, no way.
So this is the digester itself. The manure from this receiving area is pumped into the digester 4 times a day for about an hour each time. The manure enters into this back corner right here, and it flows around, and as new manure comes in, it pushes the old manure, so it sort of flows around inside like a giant U. There's a partition wall down the thing, goes right down the middle of the digester, almost to the end. The manure flows around. There's like 3 different little chambers inside this thing. The first chamber breaks down the complex, plant fibers and stuff like that, and it, just breaks the manure down further. And then when it gets to the second chamber, that's where the actual methanogenic bugs actually digest whatever's remaining of the manure, and then you've got your methane gas that's released. This thing is it's 16 feet in the ground. It's filled with 12 feet of manure, and the top 4 feet is where the actual biogas is collected. And the gas itself is pumped out on that back corner with that big black pipe.
Now, is this a specific type of?
It's just a pump right here, and you pump all the liquid manure into that building in there. We have a separator, and it comes out, and we put it in bags like I you build up pressure inside the.
You guys flare off at like a good amount, or?
We flare off. We actually flare off quite a bit. We run pretty close to capacity. We're actually thinking of getting a bigger generator because we make quite a bit of extra gas. But we had to figure out whether we're going to get a steady stream of substrate and stuff like that. So that's the actual generator right there. That orange thing right in front of you. You won't be able to hear me talking there. It's quite loud. You can go in, take pictures. Everything has pretty much a little different. These are the electrical panels that run the whole thing in there. They keep them in a separate room because the methane tends to corrode it over time. But if you look up here on this little display, it shows you right now we're making 195 kWs. We're using 34 or 35 in this building to run the building, and then we're putting 160 out on the lines.
So do you guys are you running the farm completely off of methane power?
No, the farm is all single phase, and this is all 3-phase. So everything we make, besides what we use to run just the generator and the building and the pumps around here, everything else goes out and we sell at wholesale to the Vermont Electric Power Producers.
Oh, okay, I see. So how much, if you could give like a percentage of how much methane power you guys actually use here on the farm, how would you?
We probably use about 10 to 15% of what we produce. Yeah.
Do you guys have any plans to try and up that percentage at all in the next couple of years?
Yeah, we'd like to we'd like to replace all of our single phase motors and stuff in 3-phase, because there are places with digesters that do run their farms, and the surrounding houses. It would have been too much of a cost for us to upgrade all that stuff, But in the future, it's something we'd like to do, because they run more efficiently 3-phase anyway. Single phase is kind of a outdated technology. Anyway, so down the road we'd like to do that, but when this was a big initial investment anyway, and to do all that would have it would have kind of made the project not really feasible at the time. So we did it this way.
Have you gotten any like potential like outside investors been interested in giving you guys money? Or?
Yeah, we've had Native Energy. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. They come and they'd like to buy a lot of places like to buy our credits, our renewable energy credits. Like our reduced carbon emissions, stuff like that. So we've had Native Energy come in, and they represent like Coca-Cola and a bunch of big companies that it would look good for them to say we're helping reduce the carbon emissions, because we're giving this farm money to run.
Maybe in the future that would be like where some money could actually come from.
But right now we didn't go with, we went with CBPS. We went a 4-year contract with them. They get all of our credits. They actually sell some to out of markets like Connecticut, Massachusetts, stuff like that. So they do a pretty good job with it, and they help promote the whole thing. So it just squeezes the moisture out of the manure, and then this is what you're left with. That's what you guys got. I gave you some of that bag up there. We use it to bed all our cows, so we don't have to buy sawdust. We save on that. We sell some to some other farms. So it's sort of a nice, benefit of having the digester system. This is the stuff, which once it comes off the conveyor belt, we spread it out like this and let it dry out for about a day, and then we put it underneath the cows. When I moved back here in 2006, and the milk prices were kind of low at the time, and we were just sort of looking for something to diversify into. And I was auditing a course at VTC, and they were mentioning digesters, and it was a farm about this size, and I just went, hey, we got that many cows, why can't we do it? And then I've come to find out there was grants and stuff, and we went from there. We did all the grant writing and stuff in 2007, and we got the grants, and then we started construction in 2008. Awesome. It's been good. It was originally, I believe, a 5-year payback on it, on the loan we took out. I just refinanced it a couple months ago. We needed to free up a little bit of cash, so I put a couple more years on it. But still, it's not like it pays for the loan every month. We don't ever have to borrow money to pay the loan. This thing, we make enough electricity, so the check we get covers our loan payment.
That's
nice.
Great. Do they have any like tractors that are run on biofuel?
There are tractors you can run on biofuel. I don't know
how economic. Sort of more for the video kind of message aspect.
Yep.
For Vermont's energy future, do you feel like what you're doing here is something that's going to start catching on more and more in Vermont, and possibly even more around farms around the country?
Absolutely, and I think it has. I mean, when we put our digester in 2008, I think we were the 5th one in Vermont, and now I think there's 17. Which in you know, per capita, we've got the most digesters of any state in the country, which is, you know,
that's good.
and I think it's, you know, I think they're getting better and better at the technology. It's starting to get a little bit cheaper to put them in. You know, they're figuring out ways to, you know, subsidize it. You know, because it's, you know, it really is a good idea. Especially up here, we were considered like a power strapped area. Like Newport, Vermont's like a, you know, a power strapped area. So it was, you know, the local utility, which was Vermont Electric, they were really, you know, they helped us out a lot. They were really happy about us coming on because we provided that extra power that they needed for their customers, you know, because it was you know, they were lacking up here. So I do think it's good. I think it's going to catch on, and you know, I think if other states, you know, the thing that's great about Vermont is they pay so well for the electricity. Other states don't, you know, some of them pay market price, which is, you know, only a couple cents a kilowatt, and we're getting, you know, we get like 18.5 cents a kilowatt. So really, Vermont really does a good job with it. The other states could figure out a way to
provide some economic incentive.
Right. I think it'll catch on to others because, you know, obviously there's a lot bigger farms than we've got here in Vermont. You know, there's dairies out west with
all those massive farms.
Yeah,
in the
you know,
Midwest.
20 or 30,000 animals. Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of methane.
Yeah, so, exactly. A ton. Yeah. You guys have any other? Do you have any questions? Farms around here, are they using other methods besides methane, sort of to supplement electricity in any way, or?
I don't know. I don't know of any that. Actually, yeah, there's a farm in Derby that does windmills.
The windmills.
Yeah,
okay.
They've got windmills, and then there's another digester, but that's sort of the same thing as, you know, it's not the same. It's not a DVO, it's an RCM, but it's, you know, the same kind of farm as this. And I don't know if there's anybody else that does. I think it's just the windmill guy, but he's pretty successful.
Yeah.
You know.
Are those? Do you know? I am also oblivious to that as well. Do you know if those are pretty expensive?
They are, and I think the payback on that is quite a bit longer than it is on something like this, because they don't pay quite as well for that. Plus, you don't make quite as much. You know, we don't make we make enough electricity here to, to run 40 or 50 houses.
Yeah.
You know, you just can't do that. You know, one windmill. You know, you'd have to have those big giant ones.
Yeah, exactly.
Sheffield.
Yeah, and there's always, we learned about how there was a lot of reasons why they weren't putting more windmills in was because people were complaining that they were either just in their view or sort of like, you know, were the birds that were getting killed because of them, that kind of stuff.
Ruining the wildlife, ruining the landscape. And I can understand that, you know.
Yeah, of course. Which makes
we're using what we're doing, and you know, before we had the digester, I mean, we were releasing methane into the atmosphere. You know, that manure pit we have out there filled with manure. I mean, before that digester, I mean, that's a greenhouse gas.
Exactly.
We just
seeping up there. I know.
That we did for 50 years. So they are good. You know, they help the environment. You know, the neighbors are a lot happier because there's a lot less odor around here now. So it's been
an interesting point.
Yeah, it's been win-win. Yeah, it reduces the smell.
Awesome.
After it goes through the digestion process, there's very little odor to it. So
that's really great.
You know,
makes perfect sense.
People are happy. Yeah, people are happy.
Makes perfect sense. Yeah. Well,